My name is Lauren Scott, and I am the data coach for Nebo Elementary School in Paulding County, Georgia. This presentation is an overview of the 3rd through 5th grade Georgia milestones data. The data overview presentation is intended for the administrators and staff of Nebo Elementary School in the Paulding County School District. The purpose of this presentation is to examine and discuss Georgia milestones data from the 2016 to the 2019 school years. The presentation will bring awareness to student achievement needs and the impact of Title I on student achievement. We will discuss student and teacher demographics and student achievement data in English language arts. We will begin with an overview of the Nebo Elementary student demographics. On this slide, we will discuss student enrollment data disaggregated by gender and ethnicity. As you can see, Nebo Elementary student enrollment has decreased every year from 2016 to 2019. We are a predominantly white school with about the same amount of males and females, slightly less females across each of the 3 years. Then our next highest demographic is African American students, followed by Hispanic and multiracial students. On this slide here, we will look at student enrollment data disaggregated by socioeconomic status, and you will see later how this plays an important role in our student population. So you can see in all 3 years, we have about a 50-50 split between students who are on free and reduced lunch and students who are not on free and reduced lunch. In 2017 and 2018 school years, we had the exact same percentage of students who were on free or reduced lunch, and then in the 2018 and 2019 we shifted to have more students on free and reduced lunch than non-free or reduced lunch. And this will be important when we discuss the support from Title I. Now on this slide you will see a chart that has a breakdown of our student enrollment data disaggregated by educational program. Generally, our population is staying about the same with a 1 to 2% change across the years. You can see we have about a 3 to 5% of our students are English language learners. About 12% of our student population is enrolled in the special education program. About 5 to 6% of our students across the 3 years are enrolled in our gifted program. And about 82% of our students are general education students with no other services. You can see in the 3 years that our student population has decreased. Students have moved out of our zoning area. However, only about a 38 student difference. This slide here shows our student mobility rate. This ties into our last slide as we talked about how students are continually moving out of our school, and you can see here this is compared to from the school and the district that we have a higher percentage of students moving out of our school than the overall district average of students moving out of the schools or out of the district. So we do have a higher mobility rate there than the district does. You can also see that we had a spike in the 2017-2018 school year, about a 5% difference from the district, whereas the other 2 years were about a 4% difference from the district. On this slide, we'll be looking at Nebo Elementary attendance data by school year, and you're seeing absences by percentages of students. So purple is less than 5 absences, the dark blue is 6 to 15 absences, and the teal is more than 15 absences. So you can see our largest, most significant absences were in the 2018-2019 school year. Of 49.2% of students had 6 to 15 absences, and 21% of students had more than 15 absences. So in this school year, we had a significant amount of students missing school for multiple days. All right, so these next couple of slides will be an overview of the Nebo Elementary teacher demographics. On this slide, we will be looking at the number of teachers disaggregated by gender and then by race. You will see here that we have a disproportionate number of female teachers at our school compared to male teachers, with a decrease in the 3rd year by 1 of our male teachers. And then over here by race, we also have a disproportionate number of white or Caucasian teachers, the majority of our teachers there, and only 1 or 2 African American teachers, no other races being represented. So that is something that we should consider in the hiring process, looking at maybe finding more male teachers to relate to our male students and other teachers of other races to help with our race demographics. For this final slide on demographics, I want to look at the number of teachers by certificate level and then teachers' years of experiences. I think this is very important as we look at how we are supporting our students. The majority of our teachers at Nebo Elementary have either a bachelor's or master's degree. We do have about 6 teachers who have a specialist degree over these 3 years and 1 teacher with a doctorate degree across all 3 years. It is nice to see that the majority of our teachers have a master's degree, and that is just giving more content area knowledge for supporting our students. The demographics are very similar here. 4 years of experience. Our largest area of years experience is in that 11 to 20 years, and then next largest area being 0 to 10 years of experience. We do have in the first year 9 teachers with 21 to 30 years, 13 teachers in the second year, and 15 teachers in the third year. So we are increasing over time our years of experience, which means the teachers are staying at Nebo, or we're getting more experienced teachers coming in. And we do have 1 teacher all 3 years who had been there for more than 30 years, or been teaching for more than 30 years. So these are just something to think about as we look at how we support our students. Across this next section, we will be looking at an overview of Nebo Elementary student achievement data. This slide here shows a broad overview of the 3rd through 5th grade student achievement data in English language arts as compared to the district and the state. So this first graph here is the percentage of students performing below the proficiency rate in English language arts by year. So the 2016-2017 school year, 2017-18, and 2018-19 school years. The purple line is Nebo Elementary, blue is Paulding County School District, and the teal is the state of Georgia. So as you can see here, students who are below proficiency all 3 years, we are performing below the state and significantly below our district. We have in the first year 64% of our students performing below the proficiency rate. Then in 2017-2018 we have a spike here. We performed at an even poorer rate, and we did make an improvement in the 2018-2019 school year, but again we are still significantly below the state and the district when we come over and look at the second graph that shows the percentage of students at or above proficiency. So again, this is kind of just a flipped graph to equal 100% across the board. So we have in the first year 36% of our students performing at or above proficiency. We dip down to 35.1% of our students in the 2017-2018 school year, and then we do have a little bit of a rise here to 39% in the 2018-2019 school year, but again we are still significantly below the state, and then again even farther behind the district, who is performing above the state. This slide here is very similar to the slide we just looked at, except it's specifically focusing on Nebo Elementary 3rd through 5th grade student achievement data in English language arts. So you can see here in the 2016-2017 school year, we had about 64% of our students performing as a beginning or developing learner, and we had about 35% of our students, 36% of our students proficient or distinguished. We took a dip here in 2017-2018. We had less students performing proficient or distinguished. And then in the 2018-2019 school year, we did make some gains, and we had about 39% of our students performing in the proficient or distinguished range. So we were making growth. We did have a overall school drop here in 2017, 2018. And this next slide is really important when we look at our Title I services compared to this data. As I told you earlier, this disaggregated student enrollment data by socioeconomic status slide would come back as a topic of discussion later. So here you can see in the 2016-2017 school year, we were Title I targeted assisted for 3rd through 5th grade. That means that our 3rd through 5th grade students receive Title I services based on if they were free and reduced lunch. Then in the very next school year, even though our percentage remained the same, we did not qualify for Title I services, and we lost that extra support. So we lost about 2.5 teachers, 2 full-time and 1 part-time teacher supporting our 3rd through 5th grade students in the 2017-2018 school year. Then we talked about how we shifted over the 50% range here in the 2018-2019 school year, which allowed us to be a fully implemented Title I school servicing our K-5 students, and all students could receive the Title I services, not just our free reduced lunch students and not just our 3rd through 5th graders. So if you think about our dip in the 2017-2018 school year, our 3rd through 5th grade students were not receiving that extra support from Title I in English Language Arts, and our milestone data showed that dip. Over these next 3 slides, we will look at Nebo Elementary's 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade student achievement data in English Language Arts over the 3 years. And again, keeping that Title I thought in mind. So we started in the 2016-2017 school year. Remember, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders had Title I support. And so we had about 32% of our students were in the proficient or distinguished learner range here in 2016-2017 with that Title I support. Then when we moved to 2017-2018, we have a significant drop in student achievement in 3rd grade. Now, these students who moved into 3rd grade in 2017-2018 had never received any Title I services because they would have been 2nd graders and did not qualify as a targeted assisted student. And we have about 25% of our students here performing at distinguished or proficient learner. Then in the 2018-2019 school year, remember, we do get our Title I services back, K-5, and we do see a significant difference from the 2018 to the 2019 school year, where we have about 38% of our students performing proficient or distinguished learners. So it seriously impacted our 3rd grade students here. Here we are looking at our Nebo Elementary 4th grade student achievement data in English Language Arts. Again, in the 2016-2017 school year, we had about 38% of our students performing proficient or distinguished learners. We do see an increase in 4th grade, which is interesting because, again, we didn't have Title I services. However, these students would have received Title I services in 3rd grade in English Language Arts, and so that may have been an impact on them as 4th graders. That you can see that we have about a 41% achievement here in proficient and distinguished learners. 4th grade did take a pretty large dip in the 2018-2019 school year, where they would be receiving Title I services, but these students would not have received Title I services the year before. And so that we have a larger range in the developing learners in the 2018-2019 school year. So I did find it interesting the 4th grade's data didn't quite match at 3rd and 5th grade. You're looking at Nebo Elementary's 5th grade student achievement data in English Language Arts 2016-2017. We have that targeted assisted 3rd through 5th grade students are receiving Title I support in English Language Arts, and we had about 48% of our 5th graders perform proficient and distinguished. Then we have a significant drop here in the 2017-2018 school year to about 37% of our students performing proficient or distinguished. and a slight rise here in the 2018-2019 school year to about 37.8% of our students performing proficient or distinguished in the 2018-2019 school year. One last slide I want to look at of student achievement data is our economically disadvantaged students versus our non-economically disadvantaged students. You can see here that about 50%, 45-50% of our not economically disadvantaged students are performing at or above proficiency, and only about 24 to 27% of our economically disadvantaged students are performing at or above proficiency. So this is a huge concern here that our economically disadvantaged students are not performing at the rate that they should be. In the next couple of slides, we're going to quickly discuss the data. Looking at our strengths here, the school district and state all increased the percentage of students performing at or above proficiency in year 3, and years with Title I support scored higher than years without. Our weaknesses: the overall percentage of students who performed at or above proficiency in year 2 dropped, and we'll note that we were not a Title I school at that time, and our economically disadvantaged students are performing significantly lower than non-economically disadvantaged students. So what do we do about this? Remember, our overall achievement dropped in the year we were not Title I, so our action step would be to encourage all families to complete the free reduced lunch forms to help with their Title I status, because you saw that in year 2, even though the percentage was the same, we did not qualify. So the more students we can get to prove that they qualify for free and reduced lunch, the more likely we are to keep our Title I status. And the data also shows that economically disadvantaged students are performing significantly lower than non-economically disadvantaged students. And the action step that I suggest is that we focus instruction for economically disadvantaged students to improve student achievement. And finally, our next steps. So one last thing before you go, please take an exit slip and answer 1 or 2 of the following questions. What was your biggest takeaway from this presentation? What suggestions do you have to support or further our action steps? And how can we reach all of our learners?